I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. About 12 years ago, we bought this little Troy-Bilt. We bought it at Lowe's. And it's been a good little lawnmower for a while. Had some problems with the transmission. It's what they used to call a Reeves drive, which is a variable speed pulley. The belt drive is underneath the battery back here, and I'm not going to pull it out because it's a real pain in the butt to get to. But the belt drive has a problem. The small belt that does most of the power driving and does the variable speed gets a lot of wear on it. So you end up wearing out those drive belts at least once every 2 or 3 years now. Back when we were mowing 2 1/4 acres, I'd wear out a belt every summer. But this little mower's done pretty well for us. It has an overhead valve engine in it. Briggs & Stratton, I'm not a big fan of their overhead valve engines. We got this one because it looked good and it was called a Pony. My wife really liked it. And since she was mowing the yard, whatever she wanted, I was happy with. As long as I didn't have to mow the yard, we're cool. But the 17.5 horsepower is a bit much for the size yard that I have now. I have about a half an acre that I'm mowing, so really don't need this big a mower. Definitely don't need 17.5 horsepower. The other thing is, this mower is 12 years old and it's been rode hard and put away wet. We mowed a lot of grass with it, and it wasn't the world's greatest lawnmower to start with. But now we get down to the story from today. A couple days ago, I was putting the lawnmower in the little barn back there, and it was spitting and sputtering, doing this usual thing. And my neighbor said, "Well, that doesn't sound like it's running too well." I said, "No, I've been working on this thing for 12 years. It's on its last legs." And she said, "Well, would you like a mower?" I said, "Sure." So she invited me over to look in her garage, and this little mower was sitting in there. It belonged to her father. When her father passed, she inherited it. It doesn't appear to have a whole lot of wear on it. So I'm kind of pleased with the idea of having it. It also doesn't have the overhead valve engine. This one has the old Briggs & Stratton flathead. Good, solid, long-running engine. The Troy-Bilt has had a problem with the carburetor from the very beginning. The float in the carburetor doesn't seat well. So it lets gasoline flow into the bowl and overfill the bowl. That runs down into the engine and fills up the engine block full of gasoline. I can only keep about 2 cups of gasoline in the tank, otherwise it floods the engine and I have to change the oil out. So we're going to hook up the battery charger. Like everything else, this is something that I picked up a long time ago, and it's kind of a cool one because it's got a battery charger and motor starter. But in this case, I want to see if the battery is going to take a charge. So I'm going to connect it to the battery. I think if it was me, I would have put that post towards the front, because that's the positive post and it's real close to the frame. Yep, I think we're missing a battery mount. So anyways, this thing needs to be flipped around so that it's got those posts towards the front. Then it needs to have a way to tie that battery down so it's not rattling around in there. So we'll plug the battery in, see what happens. Has 2 settings. Top is engine start, bottom is charge. put them on bottom first just to see if it's going to have any short outs. Okay. Attachment clutch is off. You have to have the clutch pedal depressed in order for the engine to turn over. That's saying that the starter relay is clicking in, but the battery is too far gone to turn it over, and I'm not getting enough juice through the wiring to turn the crank the engine over, even with the charger on it. See just how much it's pulling. That tire is definitely fragged. But until I get the engine started, I'm not going to do anything else with the lawnmower, because if the engine won't run, it's not worth putting any more time into it. It was supposedly running when it was put away. No reason to believe that it wasn't. The engine oil is down at the low point. It says it needs oil. So before we start it, I'll put some oil in it. After I get it running and it's warmed up a bit, I'll do an oil change. Looks like it's had mice in it. Hopefully they haven't eaten the wires off the thing. Used to be kind of a common thing for me to find mice underneath the shroud on my lawnmowers, because I left them parked out in the barn, and the mice would get in there and build a nest underneath the shroud. Okay, the starter's turning over, but it doesn't have enough juice to engage. Good. We'll leave it charged for a while. Well, it's been on the charger for a while. Let's see if it'll turn over. A little starting fluid. Depress the clutch. Well, it runs. Look at that. Okay. Now I need a clip ring for the right front wheel. And I need to fix this tire. I don't know if it's repairable, but I think it's worth a shot. Don't know if the mower deck runs, but I don't really want to try it with it sitting on a pallet. But that's how I got it home. I had to jack it up, set it on that cart, and dragged it across the yard. But I think it's going to work just fine. And this one has a bagger attachment. Something that I wanted for this Troy-Bilt for quite a while, because when you're picking up leaves, like I have been for the last 8 years, and you have this many trees, you know, if you look up here, all you can see is leaves. This many trees, you end up with huge piles of leaves. So, bagger, mower, let's get started. Gonna be a lot of fun playing with this one. And Louie, I'm in your bailiwick. Any suggestions you got, I'm happy to hear them. For all the rest of you guys, if you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching.